Hi there, Mary here. So today I'll be narrating a short, hopeless romantic story that I wrote, and we might just find out what happened to Jack. So grab your headphones, sit back, close your eyes, and let your imagination do the work. What happened to Jack? The story starts. Flights to Amsterdam will be leaving in 30 minutes. Please make your way to the boarding entrance. The airport radio announces. Hi, is my hot chocolate ready? Jane asks. Yes, it is, ma'am. Here you go. The airport waitress responds. Jane picks her hot chocolate and turns gently as she sips on her tea, walking towards where her husband was seated. A man passes right in front of her, and immediately Jane's senses are heightened. He smells exactly like Jack, Jane tells herself as she quickly turns towards the direction he was. She spots him and starts slowly moving towards him thoughtlessly with her tea on her hand, very confused but somehow hopeful. Then suddenly Jack stops and turns back to hug a woman who seems to have been looking for him as well. Smack! The cup hits the floor. Oh my God, that is Jack, Jane exclaims as she lets loose her cup to the floor. Jane, what is wrong? Are you okay? Jane's husband, Nick, exclaims as he gently grabs her hands. Jane snaps out of it and looks at her husband in disbelief as he kept asking if she was okay. Sorry, I thought I saw a ghost. I'm sorry, babe. I just had our flight was ready. We should head there, right? Jane tells Nick. Nick quickly pays off the cup Jane broke and apologizes to the waiter who had come to check on the almost loud bang of the cup. At work, Jane deliberates for 10 minutes as she stares at her laptop browser. She then Googles Jack Nicholas Rowland, and the search engine brings back a date of death 5 years ago. Yeah, I thought so. What am I even doing? She tells herself as she bangs the laptop and gets up from her seat. Jane is now home. Her 2 children come running to her. She hugs them tight and escorts them to their room, then tucks them to bed. She then heads to her room and takes a hot shower. Later, she lays on her bed. Her husband was not home yet, so she thought to call her friend Callie. Girl, I think I'm going crazy. I just saw Jack at the airport, Jane speaks. Hi, Jane. I've been doing well, thank you, Callie responds. Girl, I'm sorry. I'm just not okay, Jane responds. What do you mean you saw Jack? Girl, I'm sorry, but he passed on, remember? We've been through this, okay? Plus, it's so unfair to Nick. He's the perfect husband, you know, Callie says. I know. You know what? Tomorrow, I'll take myself to the restaurant that I like, spoil myself with a great meal and some wine, and maybe snap myself back to reality, Jane tells Callie. That's the spirit. Hun, do you? Just call me in case of anything. I'll come rushing. Haha, Callie responds with a laugh at the end. They both hang up and Jane falls asleep. Kong Kong. Jane's heels ponder the floor as she walks in the restaurant. She then spots her favorite spot and is now walking a tad faster just to reach there before anyone does. However, just as she was getting closer, she stops. Is that Jack? She exclaims under a heavy breath as she is now slowly and creepily walking towards him. She sits right opposite of him. Jack? Jane calls out towards the man seated right across her. Sorry, I think you had me confused, lady. I'm not Jack. However, Jane didn't seem to hear that part. She grabs his hand and exclaims, Jack, it's me, Jane. Jack gently removes her palm from his hand and leans back. What's going on here? A woman stood, folding her hands, and right beside Jack exclaims. Jack immediately turns and calms her down. Hey babe, this nice lady just got me confused, and she's leaving, Jack says softly to his fiancée Nell. Okay then, tell her to leave. Nell responds back, now getting angry. Jane is still confused. How is this possible? She thinks. Jane, please leave. This is a private meeting, Jack tells Jane somewhat harshly. Jane is still starstruck, still in her head. He looks exactly like Jack. Jane, or whoever you are, get the hell out because I'm getting angry and I might just cause a scene, Nell exclaims as she almost throws her fist. Jack immediately holds her hand and harshly says, "Calm down, Nell." Nell, shocked, steps back and lets confused Jane walk away. The next day, "I know it's been a while. I'm sorry I'm back here," Jane gently speaks. "It's okay, Jane. You know I'm always here to work with you," Maggie, Jane's therapist, says. "What seems to be the problem?" Maggie asks. "Well, I think I'm going sick again, in my head. I keep seeing Jack all the time. What's wrong with me, Maggie?" Jane speaks, looking into Maggie's eyes. Maggie and Jane have a lengthy conversation and Jane leaves the office feeling refreshed and ready to face the world. She arrives home, excited, kisses her husband and vows to love him. He's been good to her despite her crazy past. "Hey girl, guess where I'm headed?" Jane speaks on the phone. Carly responds. "Carly, what happened to us being best friends? We used to be close," Jane says jokingly. "Speak now or forever hold your peace," Carly responds as they giggle. "I'm at the store. I've always wanted to come. Remember to buy that expensive dress? Haha," Jane responds giggling. "Well, I wish you all the best. I just hope you're not there reliving your time with Jack at the store." Carly adds and hangs up. Jane stares at her phone, confused about that statement since it was true. Jane gets to the store and starts skimming through the dresses as if looking for a particular dress. "Get yourself together," she shouts in her head. She picked some few dresses from the hanger and started trying them out. She didn't feel satisfied, and just when she was about to give up dress shopping, she got what she was looking for. She picked a silk blue dress with the hanger, went to the mirror and imagined herself in it. No, it's too expensive, she thought. She turned, returning the dress to its spot, when the saleswoman came whispering, "The dress has been paid for. Go try it on." Jane looks at her as if she must have gone crazy. "Sorry, I don't follow," Jane says. "I mean, some cute guy has just paid for it, so it's yours," the saleswoman responds. Jane starts walking towards the changing room like a zombie, wondering who would have bought that dress for her. She changes into the dress and it looked so perfect on her. She looks at herself in the mirror and smiles. She then subconsciously walks out of the small changing room closet as if someone was waiting for her. "Oh, you're here," Jane exclaims to the saleswoman. Suddenly, Jane could feel someone stare at her, and as she turns to her right, her eyes met Jack. "He looks so handsome in white," she quickly thought. She looks back at the sales lady and softly asks, who bought that dress?" Afraid of the answer, she faintly stares at the saleswoman. "Well, the guy on the right, he's card red Leo." Jane's heart sank. "This is bull," she thought to herself as she stomps back to the changing room. The next day, "Jane, you're back," Maggie says. "I think I need some pills. Maybe I'm relapsing back to my depression. Jack is triggering me back. I can't do this," Jane rants. "Just calm down. Are you saying that you would go back to Jack if he was alive?" Maggie asks. "Yes, Maggie, that's what I'm saying," Jane responds. "What about Nick?" Maggie asks. "Exactly. That's why I need some pills, Maggie," Jane explains. "I'm sorry for what I'm about to do, Jane, but your mental health is at risk here and I have to help you and your family." Jane starts getting anxious about this statement. Nick draws a small curtain that was in the room and starts walking towards Jane. "Maggie, what's going on?" Jane asks, shocked, staring at Nick walking towards her. As he sat right next to her, Maggie speaks, looking sadly at Jane. "Jane, your family needs to know that you should check into a rehab." "Are you mad, Maggie? I thought this was confidential. Do I look crazy to you?" Jane responds harshly as she gets up. She then starts walking towards the door and looks back, staring deeply into Maggie's eyes in disgust. Carly, where are you? Let me come over, please, Jane calls, crying. Carly responds, just stay where you are, Jane. Just stay where you are. I'm coming to you. Soon Carly arrives and finds Jane sobbing heavily. She then takes her by the shoulder since she was too weak to walk from the crying, and they Uber to Carly's apartment. Jane falls asleep due to the heavy crying, and so they couldn't speak much. In the morning, as Carly serves Jane a bowl of cereals, she says, "You should put on your phone. You know, I bet Nick and your children are worried sick." Jane rolls her eyes. "Nick, well, he betrayed me. As for the kids, I'll go pick them up and move in with you." "I need a drink," Carly explains. "Jane, you need to get your act together, you know," Carly continues as she sips a glass of red sweet wine. "Okay, hear me out, Carly. Something is going on and I'm not mad. Jack is real. He's back. I'm not crazy. And he's playing some sick game with me. Or there's something crazy. I don't know. Some impersonator. I don't know. I don't know what is going on," Jane explains. Okay, darling. Let's do this. You said you saw him at the boutique, right?" "Yes. So let's go back there and talk to this nice lady who was the sales lady at that day, and maybe she might let us see the footage. Then we can start investigating if this is really Jack," Carly says. "What do you say?" she continues. "You know what? I'm down. Whatever will make me settle," Jane sighs. "Hi, I was here last week and purchased a blue dress. Well, technically someone paid for it. Haha." Jane leans down to the boutique counter and explains to the sales lady. "Oh yeah, you! I remember you. Are you back for another mystery gifting?" The saleswoman replies, giggling. They then talk to her and explain to her about their plan in a nutshell, and she allows them to check the surveillance footage. She then told them about the mysterious Jack and all the information she had gathered about him since he was a regular. As Carly and Jane left the boutique, they were all silent for a while, devising a plan since it all sounded very suspicious. "This is crazy, right? I mean, same age, same birthmark on the face, and he looks exactly like Jack," Carly exclaims. "Now you believe me," Jane added. "Of course, I never doubted you, Han. We've got to have a plan for this," Carly says. For the next few days and weeks, Jane and Carly tracked down Leo down to his office, private house, and private activities. Nonetheless, none of it made sense. He lived in a very strange neighborhood, did things Jack never liked, and enjoyed playing golf, which Jack hated. "Carly, this is stupid. Let's just stop. I'm sorry for dragging you into my crazy escapades. Let's just get over this and go back to normal," Jane says. Meanwhile, Nick was so curious as to why Jane was acting strange, and because she still acted mad at him, so they didn't talk much, he ended up putting a tracker on her phone in order to monitor her. Jen goes back home and hugs Nick as if bipolar and starts sobbing, saying how she is so sorry and feels stupid for acting strangely and would like to work things out. Confused, Nick comforts her and takes her into his loving arms. They then talk over it and both go to sleep peacefully. However, Nick still tracked Jane in case she wasn't being honest. For the next few weeks, Jane was normal, no drama, no triggers. She just went through her days, happy and in peace, till one night.
Great beats.
"Hi Foxes, I miss you so much and I can't pretend like this anymore. I couldn't help seeing you all the time hurting while I lied to you. Foxes, I need you to stay out of this. Don't look for me. Don't think about me. I'm sorry," the voice message said. Jen played it 5 times just to be sure that she's not mad. Only Jack called her Foxes. She immediately called Carly and transferred the voice message. She then deleted it from her house telephone and rushed over to Carly's. As she arrived, Carly had already listened to the voice message and was now filled with questions. Their quest began. They tracked down Jack like CIA, and to their surprise, Jack was no longer in town. He no longer visited the favorite restaurants, shops, or even golf. His house was clean, no sign of Jack. Carly, I'm so happy to share with you this madness. Otherwise, I'd be in a psych ward now, Jane tells Carly. Okay, focus, Jane. Where could Jack have gone? He's clearly in danger. Gathering from his voice message, his sudden disappearance, and I think we need to do something, Carly tells Jane. They later spent a week trying to track all traces of Jack. Meanwhile, Nick had set a trap for Jane and thought on the next trip she goes, he will appear and catch her red-handed cheating. So he thought. Okay, Carly, we have one last option. Whenever Jack would get stressed out with work or some of the meetings he used to go, coming to think of it, I never got to know with whom or where he went for these meetings. Anyway, he always took me to this faraway cabin he said was a safe haven. So maybe he's there, Jane explains. Okay, fine. Let's head there tomorrow and deal with this once and for all, Carly says. Jane sneaked out of the house at 4 a.m. in order to arrive at the cabin in good time to come back home, and left a sweet note to her husband Nick saying she will be back in a jiffy and that she needs to accompany Carly to take care of some stuff in the countryside. 30 minutes after Jane left, Nick's sister arrived, their hope, and Nick leaves to tell Jane. This is it, we are here, Jane exclaims. They got out of the car where they had parked in a camouflaging way, just as Jack had taught Jane, and were now heading to the cabin. The place looked very deserted. They spent the last hour searching every place with no luck of finding Jack. Jane, I don't even think this was a good idea. I don't know how you convinced me to come here, to be honest. We need to leave. This is such a waste of time, Carly blurted out at Jane. Are you serious right now? Do you think I'm a crazy woman, Carly? Are you even my friend? After all that you've been through, all these years of friend... Shh! Carly cuts Jane short. What now? Jane shouts. You stepped on something that cracked, Carly says. What? Jane says, confused. Carly then pushes Jane aside and pulls the dusty carpet aside. I don't think we should go down there, Carly. It looks creepy. Who knows who or what we'll find? Jane hastily says. Well, you brought me all the way, so we might as well find something, Jane responds as she opens the door-like structure. What are you doing? A voice firmly speaks. Carly pulls Jane and holds her tight as they slowly turn, preparing for the worst of who was talking to them. To their surprise, Jack stood there with an axe and some firewood. What's going on? Jack repeats. Jack, it's you, right? Jane speaks as she starts walking towards him. Jack gently puts down his axe and firewood and holds his hand out to stop Jane from getting closer. You made a big mistake. You need to leave now before it's too late, he says. Jane drops to her knees and is now sobbing. Jack, it's me. Jane, why are you acting like this? What happened to you, Jack? Tell me what it is. I'll help you. I know people. I have money. I can protect you, Jack, Jane begs. Jack looks at her and smiles sarcastically. Help? You don't know anything about me, Jane. Jane stares at him, confused, and snaps. You stupid man! You messed me up. I was mentally and physically sick because of you. For all those years, I almost lost my son. Our son, Jack. This is how you treat me? Jane shouts. We have a son? Jack says gently. Yes, Jack. And guess what? I named him after your great-grandfather Roland, just as we discussed years back. Jane responds. Jack fell to Jane's feet. Jane, I know this is not fair to you, but I messed up big time, and now I'm screwed for real. You don't know how sick I felt leaving you or seeing you move on with another man. Being so close to you, yet I couldn't touch you. I couldn't kiss you. I couldn't love you. Jane, I'm a mess, Jack says as he starts sobbing. Suddenly, as Jane bends to pick Jack up and hug him. Who's in there? A voice shouted from outside. Foxes, my love, I'm sorry, but I have to protect you now. They have come for me. You need to get out of the back door now, Jack exclaims worriedly. Jane, confused, is dragged to the back with Callie, as she wanted to know exactly what was going on. But that sounded like Nick, right? Jane says as she looks at Callie strangely. Hello, anyone in there? A voice shouts again, getting closer. Are you sure that's not Nick? That voice sounded exactly like Nick, Jane says. Jack hastily pushes them out of the door, and just as he was closing the door, after blowing a kiss to Jane, a loud gunshot sound from inside shakes the house. Bang! Jane starts running back towards the house. Callie holds her back by her waist and her mouth. No! What happened to Jack? So guys, that was the end of my brief story. So I don't know what you think happened to Jack. Did he die? Did he kill someone? Was it Nick? Was it the people he was thinking? Or was Nick the people he was thinking? So I don't know. What do you guys think? Would you like me to continue? Please comment down in the comment section. You can give a suggestion of how you'd like the story to go. So thank you so much for listening. I know it wasn't that short, but thank you. I really appreciate. Next time I'll be doing a Hangul story. Okay, bye.